You can't say President Obama kept us in suspense. Just 6 days after he laid out new guidelines for drone strikes, the Pakistani Taliban's #2 was killed by a drone strike. His name was Waliur Rahman Masood. He was wanted by the U.S. for possible involvement in a 2009 suicide bombing that killed 7 CIA employees at a base in Khost, Afghanistan. The White House would not confirm his death. So the first drone strike after the new national security plan is anything different? Joining me now to talk about it is Mark Mazzetti. He's a national security correspondent for the New York Times. He's also the author of the book, The Way of the Knife, The CIA, A Secret Army, and a War at the Ends of the Earth, a book I've actually read, and it is a great book, and I recommend it. So, Mark, let's go through the president's speech last week. He released standards, new standards for drone strikes. Here's what they are. 1, a legal basis for using lethal force. 2, the target poses a continuing imminent threat to U.S. persons. 3, near certainty that the target is present. 4, near certainty non-combatants will not be injured or killed. 5, capture of target not an option. 6, target country cannot or will not address the threat themselves. 7, the attack respects national sovereignty and international law. So does this meet that criteria, the targeted killing of Pakistan Taliban's #2?
Well, it's unclear whether it even has to, because all of the standards you laid out are for what the White House describes as strikes outside of areas of continuing hostilities. Now, Pakistan, they consider an area of continuing hostility because it's part of the Afghan, what they call the Afghan theater. So what we've...
Even though it's in a different country.
Even though it's a different country,
okay.
they consider it part of the same theater. So after the rhetoric of President Obama's speech last Thursday, the more you dug into the speech and into the details, it became clear that basically the rules in Pakistan are as they were, where the CIA is running the drone wars and where there are lower standards for the strikes than there are in other parts of the world.
So basically the idea is these are our standards except for where we are already doing drone strikes on a completely different set of standards?
On the bulk of drone strikes, right? So the bulk of drone strikes, hundreds of drone strikes have taken place in Pakistan. It's still has been the epicenter of the drone wars. Other countries, for instance, Yemen, will apply under these new standards. But as President Obama said last Thursday, as long as there are American troops in Afghanistan, basically these old rules are going to continue. So the point you raise about today's strike is, what kind of threat did this individual pose? It should be pointed out that people think of the Taliban as that's who the United States is fighting in Afghanistan. This is the Pakistani Taliban, which is a different organization focused largely on attacks inside Pakistan. And so there are different organizations, although, as you said, the Obama administration has identified this figure with attacks on Americans.
Right, and of course the Pakistani Taliban also go into Afghanistan to kill U.S. troops, target U.S. troops, and of course the Afghan government. In your book, The Way of the Knife, you write something very interesting that I want to read. Quote, the CIA had approval from the White House to carry out missile strikes in Pakistan even when the CIA targeters were not certain about exactly who it was they were killing. Now, this is signature strikes. This is, they come in, they see a bunch of, quote-unquote, military-aged males with guns, and they think, okay, might as well just kill them.
Well, so they basically do an analysis based on patterns of activity. If they think that these people might be crossing the border into Afghanistan, there's various rules, but they don't have to specifically know who it is on the ground that they're targeting. As you said, these are called signature strikes, and they've been very controversial. It's become clear that, again, as long as American troops are in Afghanistan, President Obama is not going to do away with signature strikes, or at least not for several more months. They're going to review it after about 6 months. But these standards, these lower standards than exist other parts of the world, are going to continue.
Confusing, and we're going to have you on again to talk about more of it. Good luck with the book. It's a great book, The Way of the Knife. I recommend it highly.
Thanks very much.
Thank you so much.